Well, we'll be speaking. We'll be speaking, and I think we'll perhaps do something that'll be significant. We want to end that war. That war would have never started if I was president, and we want to end that war. That war is a horrible war.
In a bid to reshape the course of the Russia-Ukraine war, US President Donald Trump is deploying a multi-pronged strategy that combines economic pressure, diplomatic engagement, and resource-driven negotiations. His approach signals a significant shift from the previous administration as he pushes for heightened sanctions on Russia, calls for wartime elections in Ukraine, and explores a transactional alliance with Kyiv in exchange for rare earth minerals. Trump's administration is preparing to escalate economic sanctions on Russia to force an end to the war. Keith Kellogg, the US Special Envoy for Ukraine and Russia, stated that current sanctions are insufficient and need to be intensified. Trump is ready to double down on Russian sanctions, Kellogg said, adding that existing measures are currently only about a 3 on a 10-point scale of economic pressure.
You could really increase the sanctions, especially the latest sanctions, targeting oil production and exports. It's opened the aperture way high to do something. And if there's anybody who understands leverage, it's President Donald J. Trump. And you can see that with what he's recently done in other foreign problem-solving.
Kellogg further highlighted the necessity of using all available tools to pressure Russia into negotiations, stating, "You have to put economic pressure, you have to put diplomatic pressure, some type of military pressures and levers that you're going to use underneath those to make sure this goes where we want it to go."
You have to put economic pressure, you have to put diplomatic pressure, some type of military pressures and levers that you're going to use underneath those to make sure this goes where we want it to go.
A more unconventional element of Trump's strategy is his push for Ukraine to hold elections despite the ongoing conflict. Kellogg argued that conducting elections during wartime is a sign of democratic resilience. Keith Kellogg stressed that holding elections during wartime is a key indicator of a functioning democracy. A sign of a healthy democracy is the willingness and the ability to have the elections even in a time of war, he told European Pravda. However, Ukraine's constitution bars elections under martial law, which has remained in place since Russia launched its full-scale invasion in 2022.
When it comes to elections, look, every democratic state will have an election. We used to have elections in the middle of wars as well. And I think, over time now, they can't right now because it's in their constitution, the Ukrainians, not to have until the cessation of hostilities. But you're going to reach a point where they're going to have elections. And that's a sign of a healthy democracy. That doesn't mean that Zelensky should leave. That means no. The sign of a healthy democracy is the willingness and the ability to have an election, even in the time of war. So I think that's a healthy sign. And it's a healthy comment.
Complicating matters further, Ukraine recently extended its state of martial law, delaying any potential elections even longer. While officials argue this move is necessary to maintain stability amid the ongoing war, Trump's call for elections has sparked political debate. Trump is also exploring a transactional relationship with Ukraine, linking US military support to access to the country's vast reserves of rare earth minerals. The administration has reportedly discussed potential arms deals with Kyiv in exchange for these strategic resources.
We're actually working some deals right now, so we have some guarantees and some other things to keep that whole situation going. We're telling Ukraine they have very valuable rare earth. We want what we put up to go in terms of a guarantee. We want a guarantee. We're handing them money hand over fist. We're giving them equipment. European is not keeping up with us. They should equalize it.
Unlike the previous administration's stance, Trump has advocated for dialogue with both Zelensky and Russian President Vladimir Putin to expedite a peace settlement.
He said you plan to speak with President Putin soon. What about President Zelensky, and what's your message?
Yeah, I would, but he's told me he wants to make a deal. Zelensky wants to make a deal.
What kind of
I don't know if Putin does. He might not. I don't know. He should make a deal. I think he's destroying Russia by not making a deal. I think Russia's going to be in big trouble. You take a look at their economy. You take a look at the inflation in Russia. So I would hope. I got along with him great, and I would hope he wants to make a deal.
Trump's approach is a stark departure from former President Joe Biden's policy of open-ended support for Ukraine without simultaneous pressure on Russia. However, challenges remain as the conflict drags on. Trump's multifaceted strategy, escalating sanctions, pressuring Ukraine to hold elections, leveraging mineral-rich resources, and engaging in high-level diplomacy, aims to shift the dynamics of the war. Whether this hedging tactic will yield results remains to be seen, but it marks a decisive pivot in U.S. foreign policy towards the conflict.